But what I did visualize and dream of when I was a little girl was my marriage with my partner and the life we were going to live together. And I feel like by choosing to elope, we double down on that sentiment of like making it about us and not living for anyone but ourselves and doing what's best for us. If you are planning a wedding, if you don't know what type of wedding you'd like to have, big or small, if you're single, if you're dating, if you're already married and you want to know what it's like to elope in Hawaii, then this video's for you. Hey y'all, welcome back to the show. I have a big announcement. I'm married. We just got back from Hawaii. We just eloped. I said it. We eloped, just the two of us in Hawaii on the Big Island. We ran off to the Four Seasons Resort, which is probably one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And we eloped, just the two of us. We got married on the beach. And it was just the most romantic thing ever. And we're back, and I can't wait to tell y'all how it went and why we chose to elope. And also, okay, I think eloping is so underrated. I don't know why more people don't do it. It is probably one of the best decisions we ever made. Even like the moment we showed up in Hawaii, from the moment we showed up at the resort, we were like, this is by far the best decision we've ever made. And I'm going to tell y'all why in this video. If you are new to the channel, I'm Reed, I'm your host. And if you enjoy the video, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future episode. We have so many exciting things planned for this year. And if you are a loyal viewer, thank you so much for being here and for being with me since May of last year. Y'all have seen me go from just being a girlfriend, then to being a fiance, and now I am a wife. So this is all very exciting. And yeah, so let's get into it. I have a few notes that I wrote on my phone to help me share with y'all everything that I want to share about eloping. We got back yesterday, so I'm a bit jet lagged, but it feels good to be home, you know? Well, first off, it feels so different to be a wife. You know, you hear people say it's not that different when you're a wife. It's just like the same as being in a relationship before. But I honestly feel so different. My husband, it feels so fun to say that. My husband and I have been talking a lot about how amazing it feels to be husband and wife. We were even calling each other husband and wife before we got married because we loved saying it so much. But it just feels like, just when you thought you couldn't feel like more of a team with your partner, it really does feel like we are even more of a team. And just the bond we have now after saying our vows and just making that commitment to each other, it just feels really cool. And ever since I was a little girl, I always knew I wanted to be married and have a family. But if I'm being honest, I never really wanted a big wedding. I even have this memory of when I was like 13 years old and my mom had picked me up from school and I was just talking about a boy I had a crush on, and I was like, who do you want me to marry? Like asking a question that like a young teenager would ask. And my mom was like, I want you to marry whoever you want to be happy. But then she paused and she goes, I could see you eloping. And I've remembered that moment my whole life because it's such an odd thing for a mom to tell her daughter. But I mean, she really did know me so well. I feel like I've always been someone who values more intimate settings over like big to-dos. And even, God, when we were planning a wedding, I remember thinking back to when I was supposed to be a debutante. And I went with my mom to try on the dresses. Like, you were trying on big wedding dresses, but I didn't see why you needed to like wear a wedding dress for your coming out. Anyways, my mom said when I tried on the first dress, I turned around, looked at her, and I turned green. And I remember my mom saying, you don't have to do this. And I was like, okay, great, let's not do it. All to say, like from the beginning, I've kind of always took the non-traditional path. I've always taken the non-traditional path. I skipped going to college. I moved out to LA the day after I graduated high school. And moving from South Carolina to Los Angeles the day after you graduate high school was a pretty big deal. Like, I was still very young. And to do that, and then to not be a debutante, to like I was single all of my 20s. Like I really always took the road less traveled. And so when it came to planning a wedding, so we got engaged August 6th of 2024, and we got married exactly 5 months from the day that we got engaged, which I think is super cool. Can y'all hear the plane flying over me? This is like my first time filming outside in my backyard. I thought it would be fun. Ragnar's right behind me, keeping me company. I hope y'all can still hear me. But so we got engaged in the beginning of August 2024, and we started to plan the wedding. There was lots of talk of like how big we want the wedding, when we want the wedding, like do we do bridesmaids, groomsmen, all this stuff. And there were lots of little conversations throughout that period of time with my husband about like what we really want. And then a few things happened that were kind of just making the wedding process, like planning process, miserable. And I remember my husband came in from like going on a walk with our dog, and he was just like, we should elope. And I looked at him, I was like, are you sure that's what you want? Like, I don't want him to just be saying that because he doesn't want to plan a wedding or for whatever reason other than like sincerely wanting to elope. And I was like, do you really mean that? And he was like, no, yeah, like I want to elope. And then we started the conversations of if we did that, what would it look like? I mean, and we had already like discussed about having weddings of so many different sizes, everything from like a huge wedding of like 200 people, then to just like 100-person wedding, then to just like family and close friends. And then he brought up eloping. And so those discussions started. And pretty shortly after he brought it up, we decided we were going to elope. And then the fun part of planning it, so we basically did a small wedding. It wasn't just like we just showed up in Hawaii and got married on the beach. Like there was a lot of planning involved. So first we found the place we wanted to elope, which was the Four Seasons on the Big Island. By far the most incredible resort in Hawaii. I mean, I haven't been to that many others, but I can imagine it's the best because it was incredible. And I just like can't read more about that place. But anyways, we found the Four Seasons. I just emailed one of the people in their weddings department, and we were connected with the most amazing wedding planner, Mew, at the Four Seasons Big Island. Hit her up. Her and Chloe did the most amazing job. They made the wedding planning process so easeful and helped us stay on track. We did drop like a fair bit of money because we wanted a photographer, we wanted a videographer to show our family, we wanted the dinner after, so we bought one of their packages, and I have no regrets on doing that. That was one of the best decisions I've ever made because I wanted to show up on my wedding day and not be stressed and not be wrangling an officiant, a photographer, like getting my makeup done. Like I wanted to show up and just be taken care of. So we found Mew and we began planning the wedding, and the planning process was so much easier because when we were making decisions about our wedding, we were making them for ourselves and not trying to please anyone else. The biggest reason why I was turned on by eloping was because I really can't stand the idea of making my wedding about anyone else but my husband and I. And everyone's always like, people want to say to the bride and group, your wedding should be about you and your partner. But then at the same time have like all of these demands for how they want your wedding to go and like when it should be and like and like how you should do it and who should be invited and I just didn't. I mean, that being said, my parents were so amazingly supportive. They just wanted me to be happy the whole time. But I just didn't want to fall into that trap that so many brides this day and age go through, which is like trying to top the wedding before yours. There's so much competition with brides these days and like how to make your wedding better than the last person or how to really like put on a show. And that's what big weddings to me have always felt like, a show, a production. And I did not want that for my husband and I. I wanted it to be the most beautiful, intimate experience for both of us. And that's exactly how it turned out. Okay, so let me back into the wedding planning process. We planned this wedding, it probably was like 2 months of planning. And it's like not every day. It was like a phone call every 2 weeks, maybe with our planner, and occasional things to pick out. Like we still picked out flowers and I got my dress. And, oh, okay. So this is a fun thing about eloping. we decided to elope in such a short period of time from like when we started planning it that I knew I had to go to a very specific place to get my wedding dress, because most bridal dresses, like bridal shops, they need at least 6 months. And that's if you're not even getting it custom made. If you're getting it custom made, it might even take longer. And I also knew what I wanted for my wedding dress. I wanted very simple, very chic, very elegant, but also like not over the top. I wanted it to be timeless. Can y'all hear this plane? Okay, it's probably past. But I wanted my wedding dress to be so effortless and timeless. So, y'all, I just went over to Anthropologie Bride and I tried on 3 dresses. It was the 3rd dress I tried on, and I was like, this is my dress. And my style icon for my wedding was Carolyn Bessette Kennedy. I loved her wedding dress, and so I really wanted mine to be like simple and classic and timeless like hers, and I found it. So, really, what I loved so much about planning our elopement was by even choosing to elope in the first place, I was committing to myself that the wedding planning process was going to be fun, easy, simple, and not stressful. Yeah, there were certain moments where I was like, I felt pressure to like make a decision by a certain time, because you kind of have to do that. But there was no part of the planning where my husband or I ever felt pressured or stressed out. And when I think about our wedding, I knew I didn't want to feel stressed or any type of stress, any type of chaos or disagreements about anything. I wanted it to be simple and fun, and that's what we got. So another reason why you should elope, if you're thinking about eloping, is the wedding planning process is usually way more simple, easy, and actually fun. I know a lot of friends who've been planning big weddings, and there's so many things that go into it, and there's family drama, there's friends drama, there's things that go wrong before and on the day of. And I just knew that I didn't want to deal with any of that, and I definitely knew my husband would not want to either. Also, another great reason we eloped was because, okay, so I don't know what happened, if it's always been this way. Y'all might know better than me if you're already married, but I feel like ever since COVID, it takes forever to get a wedding venue. And when we were thinking about having a bigger wedding and we were looking at venues, most of them you had to book out like way far in advance, and we both didn't want to wait that long. I mean, we're ready to start a family. We're ready to like get going with our lives. I think when I was younger, in my 20s, I liked the idea of having a long engagement because I thought it was cool to be like, I'm engaged. And now that I'm in my early 30s, I'm like, no, like I'm ready to get married. Like, let's do this. Like, chop, chop. Like, what's there to wait for? You know what I mean? I feel like from the moment you get engaged, everyone's asking you, so when's the date? Like, when's the wedding? Do you have a date? Do you have a venue? And there's such a emphasis on like the production and like just because I'm a bride doesn't mean I have to be obsessed with all the things wedding and like when we're getting married, where we're getting married, like how's it gonna be, like all the logistics. Like when I was a little girl, I never pictured what my wedding would look like and how many people would be there and all the bells and whistles. But what I did visualize and dream of when I was a little girl was my marriage with my partner and the life we were going to live together. And I feel like by choosing to elope, we double down on that sentiment of like making it about us and not living for anyone but ourselves and doing what's best for us. And what we really wanted with our ceremony is we really wanted it to be intimate. We didn't want it to be about anyone else but us, and that's what we got. Okay, so we got the dress, we have everything figured out. We show up in Hawaii 2 days before we get married, and we just had the best time. We were hanging out by the pool. We were eating at great restaurants. Yeah, there were some things to do, like signing the wedding, the marriage license, and like going to check out the venue and stuff. But like, and like, working with the private chef for our dinner after. But like, that was just all fun. Like, what I loved about eloping is that we were just having fun in the days leading up to our wedding. There was no like, I didn't have to be on and entertain family with like a welcome party or rehearsal dinner. It was just me and my husband enjoying Hawaii. And I'm so glad we did that because it just made us feel even closer and like even more confident in getting married on our wedding day. And I personally, I can't imagine in the days leading up to my wedding day, having multiple parties with family coming into town. For me, some people can do it. For me, that pressure would have totally taken me out of the moment, and our wedding would not be about our marriage or each other. It would have probably been me like wanting to make sure all my guests were okay. And that's just knowing who I am. Some women are not like I am, and they can do it and they can compartmentalize. I am not one of those people. So we felt so lucky to have that time to relax and have fun before our wedding day. Now, on our wedding day, I did have an amazing makeup artist, Grace. I'll put her link for her website beneath in case y'all want to use her if you get married on the Big Island. Grace was, I think her company's called Indigo Grace. I'll double check, but I did have someone, her come do my hair and makeup. She did an amazing job. I was at first going to do my own hair and makeup, but then I thought again, like, I'm trying to do as minimal effort as possible on my wedding day. Like, I don't want to be putting any effort into anything. I just want to be able to show up and go. So hiring her was such an amazing decision I made. So she came and did my makeup. I got in my dress, and then the photographer showed up and we did the thing. We did do a little first look, which was so cute. And then Mew and Chloe, our wedding planners, took us out to the location where we eloped, called the Wedding Tree. It was on the Four Seasons property. It was so beautiful. And truly, here's the thing, like, what made our wedding so perfect is because my husband and I, we made an agreement that we weren't going to freak out if anything went wrong. And if any mistakes happened, that would be fine. And I know we were able to do that because it was just the two of us and we weren't trying to impress anyone. It was just us. And truly, because we didn't have the pressure to have things be perfect, everything went perfect. Like, everything went perfect. Like, the photos look amazing. That we loved our photographer. We loved our videographer. We used Aria Studios on the Big Island. They are amazing. I think they can also travel to other islands too. I'll link them down below as well. But they were such an amazing team. Like, everyone worked so well together. You could tell that the photographer, videographer, the makeup artist, our wedding planners, the violinist that played for us during our ceremony, they all knew each other, and they did such a good job at making my husband and I feel at ease. Our ceremony was I couldn't have asked for a more beautiful ceremony. Our officiant, his name is Tom. He did such an amazing job, and it was so perfect because he did such a great job of making our ceremony about us and about, he did the perfect amount of like talking about the traditions of Hawaii and how they're all connected to love and how the place that we were getting married was so sacred and special. And I mean, my husband and I, we were both sobbing, crying by the end of the ceremony. We did write our own vows, which was so special. I mean, teach their own, but I do recommend couples considering writing their own vows because it just really makes the ceremony just that much more personal. And I can understand why you might not want to write your own personal vows if you're doing a big wedding in front of a lot of people. But who knows, maybe you do traditional vows during your ceremony and you write your own vows to read to each other before or after. That would be really beautiful. So we wrote our own vows, we said them, and then we were pronounced man and wife. And then we went off and took a few more photos on the beach, on the sunset. If you're getting married in Hawaii on the beach, I highly recommend doing it right before sunset. Yes, everything needs to be timed out, so you definitely would probably want to use a wedding planner who knows how the sunsets work and where to go. But we got some amazing photos on the beach as the sun was setting, and we've only seen a few of them so far. It'll take a few more weeks to get them because, it takes a while to get wedding photos back, but we're so happy with them, how they look. And then we had a private dinner with our own private server on the beach. Our server's name was Tyson. He was amazing. And so we sat on the beach with 2 tiki torches lighting up, illuminating everything. And we had an amazing meal on the beach and just got to take that time to be with just the two of us. I think if we had a reception after with all of our friends and family, that would be so fun. But also, you hear people saying, you blink and your wedding's over because you're so busy talking to people. And then you hear people say, I didn't eat anything on my wedding night because I was too busy talking to people and thanking people for coming. And it was just so nice that we got to have that time to be with each other and just decompress together and just talk about the whole day and just look at the stars and enjoy each other. And that's pretty much it. Then we spent 3 more full days in Hawaii after our wedding day. So we spent a total of 5 full days and 6 nights. And it was the perfect amount of time. The next day, we just chilled by the pool. Part of our wedding package was we got a cabana by the pool, so we just chilled by the pool the whole next day. We did an omakase dinner. We played a whole day of golf the next day. And then on the last day, we rented a car and explored the island. And if you're on the Big Island, I highly recommend that. The Four Seasons was able to just get the car handled for us, which was really nice. And where did Ragnar go? Oh, he's still behind me. So we toured the island. It was so awesome. And then by the last day, we were like, this was the perfect amount of time. Like, we're not ready to leave yet, which is good because we're not you always want to leave a place before you're ready to leave, And then we came back and now we're married. There was no drama. There was no nothing went wrong. It was just so perfect. And now we are married. And I just have to pitch gratitude right here because I feel like the luckiest girl in the world, truly. I'm married to the most amazing man. We had the most beautiful wedding and honeymoon, and we're just so excited to just get going with the rest of our lives. If y'all are interested in hearing more about this, I think my next video is going to be eloping versus a big wedding and the pros and cons of each, so I can help y'all, if you're watching, make those decisions. My husband's calling me right now. Hey, sweetie, I'm filming a video. Can I call you back? Okay. Hey, love you. Bye. I'm actually probably going to bring him on for that next video about the pros and cons, perhaps, and just to get maybe we'll get his perspective as a groom for the next one. But where was I? Oh, yes. I'm just so grateful for everyone who helped us pull off the most special day of our lives. If you're considering eloping or doing a micro wedding or just not doing the traditional wedding that so many other people are doing, leave me a comment, start a discussion in the comments. I'm also happy to answer any more questions y'all have. And I'll probably be doing a video on the pros and cons of eloping versus a big wedding soon. So yeah, thank y'all so much for joining and being along for this ride. Y'all were here when I got engaged. Now you're here for my wedding or to hear about my wedding, since it was super exclusive. It was just the two of us. But thank y'all so much for being here and being such great supporters of me and the channel. We have so many amazing things planned for the rest of the year. If you enjoyed this video, throw me a like, subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future episode, leave a comment, and I'll see y'all next time. Or it should be like this.